Good morning, students. My name is Mr. Vivek, and I will teach you science. So today we are going to learn about the human heart. Yes! Did you observe something? Students, do you know? On an average adult, heart pumps blood 72 times per minute. Your heart will beat about 115,000 times each day. The average heart is of an adult fist. Each day, our heart pumps about 2,000 gallons of blood. It means around 7,570 liters. So students, now let's see this animated video on heart for your better understanding.
Human heart. The heart is located in the center of the chest, between the lungs, slightly to the left. The heart is a hollow muscular organ made of strong cardiac muscles. It pumps the blood through the circulatory system with great force.
In human beings, the circulatory system includes the heart and the blood vessels, or arteries, veins, and capillaries. The heart pumps oxygenated blood to all parts of the body and deoxygenated blood to the lungs. The heart has 4 chambers: the right atrium, the left atrium, the right ventricle, and the left ventricle. Each of these chambers contract so that blood moves from one chamber to the next. Deoxygenated blood from the body flows into the right atrium through the superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. From here, the blood flows into the right ventricle, which then pumps it into the lungs via the pulmonary artery. The lungs oxygenate the blood, which then flows into the left atrium of the heart via the pulmonary veins. The left atrium contracts and the blood enters the left ventricle. The left ventricle is the most muscular chamber of the heart, as it must pump blood to all parts of the body. When the left ventricle contracts, it pumps the oxygenated blood to the body via the aorta. Well, now that you have seen how blood circulates, you must be wondering how the heart regulates the flow of blood. Let's check this out. The heart has 4 valves that prevent backflow of blood within the heart. The tricuspid valve allows blood to flow only from the right atrium into the right ventricle. The flow of blood from the right ventricle into the pulmonary artery is controlled by the pulmonary valve. The mitral valve, also known as the bicuspid valve, allows blood to flow from the left atrium into the left ventricle. Finally, the aortic valve controls the flow of blood into the aorta from the left ventricle.
So students, did you understand how our heart works? Let's know its different parts. See this.
The heart is enclosed in a double-walled sac called the pericardium. The outer wall of the human heart is composed of 3 layers: the outer epicardium, the middle myocardium, and the inner endocardium. The human heart has 4 chambers. The upper, smaller chambers are called auricles or atria. The lower, larger and muscular chambers are called ventricles. A thick wall of muscle called the septum separates the right side and the left side of the heart. There are 4 valves in the heart. The tricuspid valve or right atrioventricular valve is between the right atrium and the right ventricle. The mitral valve, also known as the bicuspid valve or left atrioventricular valve, is between the left atrium and the left ventricle. These 2 valves are attached to the chordae tendineae. which anchor the valves to the papillary muscles in the ventricles. There are two semilunar valves present, one in the beginning of the aorta and one in the pulmonary vein. Auricles have thinner walls than the ventricles. The left ventricle has thicker walls than the right ventricle. The right atrium collects deoxygenated blood from the body via superior and inferior vena cava and sends it into the right ventricle. The right ventricle pumps it to the lungs. The left atrium collects oxygenated blood from the lungs and sends it to the body via the aorta through the left ventricle. Cardiac cycle. To pump blood, the heart muscles in the auricles and ventricles contract and relax simultaneously. Contraction of heart muscles is called systole, and relaxation is called diastole. A complete systole and diastole of the heart is a single heartbeat or a cardiac cycle. When auricles are in systole, the ventricles are in diastole. Auricular systole. Auricle muscle contracts, tricuspid and mitral valves open. Blood enters the ventricles, auricles relax. Ventricular systole. Tricuspid and mitral valves close, causing the first heart sound, lub. Ventricles contract. Semilunar valves open. Blood enters the arteries, ventricles relax. Semilunar valves close, generating the second heart sound, dub.
Let's recapitulate what you have learned.
Pericardium. It is a sac filled with serous fluid enclosing the heart, cardiac muscle. It is the exclusive muscle tissue of the heart, adapted to continued rhythmic contraction, auricles. It is the two thin-walled upper chambers of the heart, ventricles. It is the two thick-walled lower chambers of the heart, septum. It is the partition separating the two ventricles, tricuspid valve. It is the three-cusped valve located between the right atrium and the right ventricle, bicuspid valve. It is the two-cusped valve located between the left atrium and the left ventricle. It is also called mitral valve, semilunar valves. It is either of two valves located at the opening of the aorta and at the opening of the pulmonary artery, systole. It is the phase of the heartbeat when the heart contracts and pumps blood into the arteries, diastole. It is the phase of the heartbeat when heart relaxes and allows the chambers to fill with blood.
Summary. The human heart has 4 chambers, with 2 superior atria and 2 inferior ventricles. The tricuspid valve is located between right atrium and right ventricle, and the mitral valve is located between the left atrium and left ventricle. Semilunar valves are present in the arteries and veins that leave the heart. Contraction of the heart muscle is called systole and relaxation is called diastole. One complete systole and diastole is called a cardiac cycle.
So this is how our heart pumps blood to all over the body and never takes a rest till our death. There is such a thing as a broken heart. Symptoms are similar to a heart attack. But the cause is usually stress and not heart disease. What happened? Why are you laughing? It was a joke. Don't get panic. By the way, laughing is good for your heart. It reduces stress and gives a boost to your immune system. I hope students you enjoyed my class. Oh, here goes the bell. This much for today. The rest we shall finish in our next session. Okay then. Bye bye. See you in the next class.